Here at the 4th Annual National Cannabis Therapeutics Conference, the only elected official to come was our own Riverside County Supervisor, Jeff Stone. Thank you for coming to the conference. What prompted you to come to the conference?
Well, it was because you invited me, Lanny, and I was delighted to come. I felt I needed to learn more about medical cannabis. I was also given some continuing education credit for my pharmacy license, which is my other profession, my first love, and I found it very informative.
And what did you find informative about the conference?
Well, you know, when you look at contemporary literature about marijuana use and the medical benefits thereof, there hasn't really been a lot of good comprehensive studies done in the United States that support the testimonials, many of which we heard during this past couple of days. But what was enlightening was hearing about other countries and the research that they've done there, such as in Israel, such as in the Netherlands, where dispensaries are legal, and seeing that there have been double-blind studies that show that there truly is some medical benefits to inhaled cannabis. And that probably was the most educational part of the past couple of days, to show that there really is some legitimate uses for the drug that's been used, by the way, by United States drug companies, the turn of the century, companies that we have all heard of, Eli Lilly, Park Davis. They've all had cannabinoids in their preparations up until the time that the federal government moved it into a Schedule I status.
As a pharmacist, how does do you come away from this conference? I understand you're also a compounding pharmacist, which is a more back to the basics type of pharmacy, isn't it?
Right.
So how does this conference kind of affect you as a pharmacist?
Well, it's enlightening to see that there are medications that may not necessarily have the stereotypical approval of the general public, that truly have some legitimate medical needs, and it's a shame that the stereotype that marijuana has associated with its illicit use interferes and complicates the availability for legitimate use. So that is the struggle that I think as Californians we have to deal with. The voters spoke very clearly in Prop 215 that they believe that medical marijuana has medical benefits. They put together some policies to have dispensaries to ensure that it's being legitimately given to people that have legitimate medical needs for the drug. And then you and I both talked about the medical conflict with federal law that right now still has marijuana classified as a Schedule I drug. And a Schedule I drug, like heroin, is Schedule I believe. And Schedule I says that there's no medical indication for the medication. Well, I think that attending this comprehensive seminar this past couple of days, I think has shown beyond a doubt that there is some medical justification for cannabis in the right patients with the right diagnoses under supervised medical care by a licensed physician. And we're going to have to address these conflicts. The county is chartered with coming up with a program. You know, we took a stance to do a moratorium on that to give us more time to figure out how we're going to deal with these issues. You know, we've asked for an interpretation by the courts. Please, as a county, give us direction. We've got a conflict. We want to do the right thing for the constituents that we represent. We want to do it in the safest, most professional way. And I see my role as a pharmacist to deal with, if we're going to regulate these dispensaries, I want to put the protections in there to ensure that we have qualified people that are dispensing. I want to make sure that we have guaranteed proof that somebody is truly seen with a legitimate prescription from a licensed provider, and that we have records that can be reviewed by law enforcement agencies showing the true acquisition of what's being received by the dispensary and what's actually going out and being sold, to ensure that we have checks and balances, to ensure that there's no illicit distribution of marijuana, which will, I think, jeopardize all of Prop 215 if it's not implemented correctly.
You know, when you told people that you were going to be coming to this conference, I'm sure amongst the Board of Supervisors there was some raised eyebrows and a little surprise. What are you going to tell them when you get back? I'm sure they're going to ask you, what happened, Jeff?
Well, you know, I plan on reporting to them and letting them know that I thought it was a very good educational seminar that at least communicated to me through some of the prestigious speakers that they had that there really is some medical needs. There was some very strong, heart-wrenching testimonials of people that have been utilizing medical marijuana for a long time. And all these people want is safe accessibility. They don't want to have Big Brother looking over their shoulder. And we're going to have to come up with some comprehensive plan to ensure that these patients can continue to be treated in a way that will not allow for the illicit distribution of the drug, and at the same time protect the health and safety of the residents that have to deal with these dispensaries within our communities.
I mentioned that you were the only elected official here. I should also say that in all the years where I've invited our elected officials come to our meetings or go conferences, you're the first one to ever take us up on the offer and actually follow through. It so renews my faith in the legislative process when an official does that. Would you encourage other elected officials to go to conferences and learn more about this? You think it would be a good idea?
Oh, I think it'd be great. It was special for me because of my medical background. Being a pharmacist, I could understand the language of some of the health practitioners that I think you'll agree got pretty technical in some cases when you start talking about cannabinoid receptors A and cannabinoid receptors B and how they have different pharmacology depending on what strain or botanical type of marijuana is being utilized. And you could have some that have a decrease in sodium. You can have some that work more as an antiemetic or anti-nauseant. So some lay public officials may be a little bored with some of the technical speakers, but I think if they come hear some of the testimonials and witness firsthand some of the crippled people that are getting some benefit out of this drug, I think they'll be more open-minded to what is trying to be accomplished here. And I think what's trying to be accomplished here is we've had this drug that has been around for a long time, back to prehistoric times pretty much, where cannabinoids was demonstrated in one of the lectures to be here years and years ago in ancient Egypt, I think it was. And it was also a part of the U.S. pharmacopoeia. So the U.S. pharmacopoeia that illustrates drugs that have medicinal value, it was a part of that. And unfortunately, the drug culture, probably the drug culture of the 60s, stereotypically tainted any medical value of that medication, and we need to take an objective look at it. And maybe the federal government needs to actually sponsor a double-blind study to prove to itself, or just utilize some of the studies that are done abroad. And there was, Germany, Israel, Netherlands, Canada. There are studies out there that, the health professionals within the federal government can look at and make an objective opinion whether or not there's medical value, and if so, then they should reclassify the drug and take it out of Schedule 1 and put it into a schedule that can be monitored and dispensed and appropriately given to people that need it.
Well, Supervisor Stone, I want to thank you for coming on our show, and I want to thank you for coming to the conference. Like I said, you renew my faith in the legislative process, and I know that you are going to be an shining example to our other legislators to get out and find out the information on your own. Thank you very much for everything you've done.